everyone. Just wanted to take a minute today to just get together with you guys and talk a bit about the realities of leadership when it comes to enduring painful situations. There are times that as leaders, we can see down the road catastrophe, we can see a problem on the horizon. But sometimes we could be just hopping right along, just enjoying life, doing the work that God has called us to do, our career, whatever it may be. And all of a sudden, we're blindsided by the last thing we expected. Well, any leader that's worth his or her weight in gold will have had at least one or two of these experiences. And just wanted to chat with you for a minute about that and just to share some thoughts on that. And, I have been in leadership for over 20 years. Even as a young man in music ministry, I played a leadership role in the bands that I worked with, and even through nonprofit work that I did and in the nonprofit sector, and more so in church and faith-based ministry. The common denominator that you will see across all these different categories of organizations and involvement is this: people. And you often will hear somebody say, the church failed me, or I don't like that organization for this reason or that reason. At the end of the day, you know very well, and I know, that it wasn't the organization. It wasn't the 501c3. It wasn't the LLC. It wasn't the name of the organization on the billboard or the front of the building. It was people. The scriptures tell us that we should not fix our eyes on man. We should always fix our eyes on God. There are many proverbs and teachings, both secular and faith-based, that teach us to keep our eyes on worthwhile things, on the horizon, on the North Star. These are teachings, this is verbiage that's often used to challenge people to take their eyes off of the issues, the problems, the negative stuff, the bad people, and place it on what matters. When you're going through the storm, you have a plethora of decisions that have to be made. Do I surrender to this? Do I give up? Do I become angry? Do I judge people? Do I start hating people? And the list goes on. My challenge to you today is that as you go through this, let's just say you had a major blow today. You had a contract and it was canceled on you. You had a great job, you were fired. You had a relationship you thought you can trust and you were betrayed. Whatever the case may be, as a leader, whether at home, in an industry, in ministry, betrayal, failure, pain will come your way. And everyone is allowed a small window of mourning. A small window where you say, woe is me, and you sit with God and you do what Job did. And as you read his story right up to chapter 38, let's say, where God finally responds and gives him quite a message. We can lick our wounds, we can go over it and ruminate and create all these different scenarios in our minds as to how this could have happened differently, what I could have said, should have done, would have, could have, etc., etc. We can go through this to nauseum, to the point that we find ourselves torturing our minds and our hearts. I've been there. I could perhaps write a book on that. But it's not healthy. It's not good. It doesn't benefit you. And it surely doesn't benefit those around you. So what do we do? Here's what I've done, and what good people have advised me over the years. There comes a point after that initial impact where you have to come to grips with the reality, whether it was something you caused, something that you were completely innocent of, or something that you could have done something wrong, overlooked something, made a mistake, hurt someone. Whatever the case may be, it's already done. It's an event that's in your past, and most likely there's nothing you can do to change what happened. Maybe there's certain things that you could change down the road, but right now, your number one priority is to get your mind and your heart healed. See, because unless you are healed here and here, you're not able to see clearly. You're not able to begin to recreate your strategy, to replot your route as to where you're heading. And that's important. Stagnation is one of the most dangerous things because it almost feels okay to stop and to stay there. But the longer you stay there, the more you miss, the further you get from your destiny, from your goal, and the things that you need to do, the people you need to impact and touch. So someone is losing out, namely you. So again, at some point, you have to say to yourself, self, enough. I'm done licking my wounds. I've gone over the scenario a million times. There's no other iteration of this event that I can conjure up in my mind, so now it's time to move forward. And this could be scary, it could be counterintuitive, but it's a must. Moving forward is essential, especially as a person of faith. If you love God and you believe that He has a plan for you, a plan that He created for you before time, you owe it to yourself to find out what that is. You owe it to yourself to experience that purpose, that calling, that mandate from heaven over you. So at that point, you make a decision, I have to move forward. I can't just sit here. And you do just that. You start moving forward. I love the fact that I alluded to Job, and the first number of chapters in the book of Job, you see Job interacting and having conversations with his friends and his wife and ultimately with God. He has this discourse where he goes over situations where he asks questions and he demands answers, and he goes through this, but nothing changes. Then again, chapters 38 to 41, thereabout, you see God enter into the scene in a different manner. He begins to challenge Job, basically telling him, who are you to question my sovereignty? Who are you to question who I am and what I choose to do? Who are you to question me? And it may sound like a bit cruel or cold, but at the end of the day, God is God. We are not. And we are subject to His sovereignty, His love, His grace, His wisdom, the entirety of who He is. It's hard to wrap your mind around that, but He is God. And God is making that point very clear to Job. But what I find interesting, and I challenge you guys to read those few chapters, chapters 38 through 41, and you see God question Job and basically say, or ask him, where were you when I put the stars in the heavens? Where were you? And where were you in this event, in this moment? Kind of juxtaposing who He is in light of who He is as God. But what I find interesting, and here's a conversation between God and a man about the situation at hand, which is the suffering, the pain, and the loss that Job just experienced and continues to experience in that moment. What I find interesting is that God never mentions anything about the exchange between him and Satan. He doesn't say, oh, well, the way this whole thing started was Job, Satan came over and he challenged me and he said that you wouldn't stand, and I trusted you, I believed you. God did not have to give an explanation to Job. But what I love about this is that here Job is demanding a why, and God says, I don't need to give you a why. What I get out of this exchange is that when we're going through a time of suffering, we need to move away from asking God so much about the why me, and why this, and just position ourselves to hear His voice. It doesn't matter what He says, as long as you hear the voice of God, that means you're in close proximity to the Master. As a sheep, you want to hear your shepherd's voice because you know that you're safe, that the predator doesn't have the opportunity to destroy you, to kill you, because the shepherd is nearby. So when you are in that dark place, when you're in that place of distress and fear and anxiety, don't consume yourself asking about the why. Just position yourself to hear the Master's voice. Take it from me, that has been life-changing. In recent days and over the years, his voice is the one thing that settles my heart and settles my mind and has allowed me to move forward, to continue to touch lives and to experience God's best for me. I hope this encourages you and it challenges you to get up from wherever you are, that place of pain, of disappointment, of discouragement, of betrayal. Listen to the voice of God and move forward and enjoy all he has for you. God bless you.